Scorpio. This is not a coincidence, and this message is not coming late or early. The person who walked away from you is not at peace right now. Not even close. While you stayed silent, they began to unravel. What they thought was freedom has turned into confusion, regret, and sleepless nights. They replay your words, your energy, your absence again and again, wondering how they lost someone they can't replace. Scorpio, your silence hit them harder than your anger ever could. Stay with me, because what's happening to them now will explain everything, and what comes next may shock you. Scorpio, you are one of the deepest and most misunderstood signs of the Zodiac. When you love completely. And when you pull back, it's never without reason. This message is for the Scorpio who gave their all, stayed loyal, and then chose silence instead of chaos. What you're experiencing right now isn't random. It's a shift. The universe is responding to what you endured quietly. As you listen, you'll begin to understand why the person who left you can't move on, why your absence feels heavier than your presence ever did, and why this moment matters more than you realize. What really happened when they left you, when they walked away from you? Scorpio, they truly believed they were making the right choice. At that moment, they convinced themselves that leaving meant freedom, relief, and control. What they didn't understand was the depth of what they were stepping away from. You weren't just a phase in their life. You were stability, emotional truth, and unconditional presence. While you were giving loyalty and patience, they were distracted by surface-level desires and ego-driven decisions. You stayed longer than you should have, hoping they would see your worth without you having to beg for it. But Scorpio, when you realized your value was being taken for granted, you chose silence over explanation. That silence wasn't weakness, it was self-respect. The moment you emotionally detached, the balance shifted. They didn't feel it immediately, but the loss began quietly. They underestimated how deeply your absence would affect them. They thought life would move on easily, but instead, emptiness replaced excitement. What they lost wasn't obvious at first, but now it's becoming impossible for them to ignore. Their current mental state. Right now, Scorpio, their mind is far from calm. On the surface, they may pretend everything is fine, but internally they are struggling to keep control. Thoughts of you appear without warning late at night, in quiet moments, and even during conversations with others. They question their decision more than they admit, replaying past memories and wondering where things went wrong. What once felt like relief has turned into emotional chaos. They try to distract themselves with new people, work, or social activity, but nothing truly fills the space you left behind. Every comparison reminds them of what they lost. The connection they shared with you wasn't ordinary, and now they realize that replacing you isn't as simple as moving on. This realization creates frustration, anxiety, and restlessness. Their ego fights their emotions daily. One moment they feel confident about their choice, and the next they feel a deep sense of regret. Sleep doesn't come easily anymore. Their mind keeps circling back to unanswered questions, unfinished conversations, and the version of themselves they were when you were still present. Scorpio, your absence has become louder than any argument ever was, and that's what's slowly breaking them from the inside. Why Scorpio affects them so deeply. Scorpio. The reason they are struggling so deeply is not just emotional, it's spiritual. When someone connects with a Scorpio, it happens on a soul level, not on the surface. You don't bond casually. You imprint your energy into their life, their routines, their sense of safety. Even after separation, that energetic cord doesn't disappear easily. They didn't just lose a person, they lost a feeling they can't recreate. Scorpio carries intensity, loyalty, and emotional truth that few signs can match. While others offer attention, you offered depth. While others listened, you understood. This is why your absence feels so heavy now. The universe works differently with Scorpio energy. When you pull back, it creates a vacuum that forces reflection. Silence from a Scorpio becomes a mirror, showing the other person exactly what they failed to appreciate. They feel this loss in waves. Some days it hits as nostalgia, other days as regret, and sometimes as a deep emptiness they can't explain. Their spirit recognizes what their ego denied. That's why they feel unsettled, emotionally off balance, and unable to fully move forward. Scorpio, your energy awakens something real in them, and once awakened, it can't be forgotten or replaced. Signs they are losing control right now. Scorpio, there are clear signs showing that they are losing emotional control, even if they try hard to hide it. One of the strongest signs is their sudden curiosity about your life. They may quietly check your social media, reread old messages, or ask mutual friends about you without revealing why. This isn't coincidence. It's restlessness, driven by regret. Another sign is how memories resurface for them unexpectedly. Songs, places, or small details remind them of moments they shared with you, pulling them back into emotions they thought they had escaped. These memories don't bring comfort, they bring confusion and emotional discomfort. They realize now that what they lost wasn't temporary. You may also notice subtle attempts to get your attention, directly or indirectly. This could be through sudden activity online, emotional posts, or changes in behavior meant to be noticed. They are testing the energy, hoping for a reaction, even if they don't reach out openly. Internally, they feel torn. Part of them wants to move forward, but another part keeps pulling them back toward you. Scorpio, this inner conflict is exhorting them. Your calm silence contrasts sharply with their emotional instability, and that imbalance is exactly what's making them lose control right now. What they want to say, but can't. There are things they want to say to you, Scorpio, but fear keeps them silent. Deep down, they know they mishandled the connection, but admitting that would mean facing their own mistakes. They want to apologize for taking your loyalty lightly, for assuming you would always be there, and for leaving without understanding the depth of what they were breaking. These words sit heavy in their chest, unspoken and unresolved. They want to tell you that no one else feels the same, that conversations feel empty, and that the bond they shared with you still lingers in everything they do. But pride blocks their path. Reaching out would mean risking rejection, and that terrifies them more than regret itself. They sense your growth, your emotional strength, and it makes them doubt whether they still deserve access to you. In quiet moments, they rehearse conversations that never happen. They imagine explaining themselves, hoping you might understand. Yet they remain stuck between guilt and longing. Scorpio, their silence isn't indifference, it's fear. Fear that UVA already moved on, and fear that once they speak, they'll finally have to face what they truly lost. What this means for you, Scorpio, this phase isn't about their struggle, it's about your growth. What's happening now is a reminder of your worth and the power of choosing yourself. You didn't lose anything by walking away from what no longer honored you. In fact, your silence became a boundary, and that boundary restored your strength. The universe responds when a Scorpio stops chasing and starts healing. This is your moment to stay grounded. You don't need to prove anything, explain anything, or reopen old wounds. Their confusion is not your responsibility. What matters is the clarity you're gaining about what you deserve. Focus on your peace, your goals, and the version of yourself that no longer accepts half-hearted connections. If they return, it will be because they finally recognize your value, not because you waited. And if they don't, it means something better is aligning for you. Trust this process. Scorpio, when you choose self-respect over attachment, you don't lose love. You attract the kind of love that meets you at your depth. Scorpio, everything unfolding right now is part of a larger balance being restored. The universe never ignores genuine love, loyalty, or emotional truth. What you gave came from a pure place, and what was taken for granted is now being deeply felt on the other side. This isn't punishment, it's awareness. Your transformation is quiet, but powerful. While they struggle with regret and unanswered emotions, you are stepping into clarity and self-mastery. What's meant for you will never require you to shrink, beg, or chase. If someone truly belongs in your life, they will meet you where you stand, not where you used to be. Trust this moment, Scorpio. Your silence has spoken louder than words ever could. Stay aligned, stay strong, and remember, when a Scorpio lets go, The universe makes sure the lesson is never forgotten.